How do I actually structure a Performance Max campaign? Why are my Performance Max campaigns spending so much? And the most fundamental question I get asked all the freaking time. I don't think I need Performance Max, but I'm being told that I have to use it. What are your thoughts? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Google Ads Strategy Hub. I'm your host, Sarah Stemen. And if you clicked on this episode, the chances are that you have asked yourself at least one of these three questions. Then you're in exactly the right place. Now, before we dive in, let me be completely transparent with you. I've been doing PPC for 17 years. I write for Search Engine Land. I'm not some bro marketer with a fancy studio and high production and flashy graphics, and I'm not going to give you fluff content. What you're getting here is a low production value video, but you are really getting real strategies that actually work with my clients. So grab your coffee, open up your Google Ads account if you want to follow along, and let's talk about how to structure a Performance Max campaign in the right way. Before we get into these steps, let me give you a one-sentence answer to your biggest questions. Performance Max is a powerful prospecting campaign that is absolutely not for anyone. It does the absolute best in retail-like environments where you have a high-quality creative, you have excellent product photos, you have product photos that are shown in the environment, you have a great feed structure, and most importantly, you are feeding the audience and offline data back to Google. So really, Google knows exactly who your target market is, you know exactly the value of each product. And if you do not have these things, then yes, Performance Max is just going to spend your money and you're not going to get a lot of quality. So let's talk about how that fixes and how to build a campaign that's not going to be bleeding money and it's going to be profitable. Last month, I had a client come to me. They were spending $15,000 a month on Performance Max campaigns and their ROAS was sitting at about a 1.2. Right? They're essentially burning money faster than they can make it. Problem is, they had thrown every single thing into one giant campaign with no structure. So the equivalent was like trying to sell luxury couches and $5 throw pillows with the same budget and expecting Google to figure out the difference. Spoiler alert, it doesn't work that way. Google goes after a couple things: easiest conversion. And then the second thing that was happening is if you are structuring it correctly, it's actually going to go after most of the higher conversions. Pillows and the couches, very, very different price points here. So let's break down how to actually structure your campaigns in a step-by-step process so that you can go ahead and take this information and apply it directly to your business. So step one, that is going to be your campaign foundation, your budget and your targets. So the first thing first, you need to consider your campaigns and start creating your campaigns with your budget and targets in mind. And that is because that data, that setting, it lives at the campaign level. It's critical because it's where you're going to maintain your control. So think about it this way. If you're managing a retail store, like just a store, brick and mortar, you would not give the same sales budget to your luxury handbag section and your clearance accessories, would you? Same principle applies. So for that client that we mentioned, we split their budget based on these profit margin. Their high-end couches got one campaign with a higher ROAS target, and their accessories got a separate campaign optimized for volume. So this is what I recommend for budget allocation. Start with your highest margin products, your hero products, what you're trying to sell. Get 60 to 75% of your initial budget and put it in there. And then give your volume products another 30, 40%, so you're totaling 100. You always want to set a conservative ROAS target initially. And by conservative, I actually mean a higher target, not a lower target, because you want to tell the algorithm to go after those clients that are going to make that conversion right away. And you can always start dialing it down later and being more aggressive with your bids. Remember, when it comes to maximizing conversion value, a lower ROAS is going to get in more volume. A higher ROAS is going to get in those people that are really ready to buy. And if you have a high product that delivers a higher ROAS, you're going to want to match those things appropriately. So now we're going to get into the asset groups, the creative, and the data, because this is another place where I see a lot of people mess up. Your asset groups, they need to make sense. And again, this is where people mess up. They create asset groups that are too broad or too narrow. So you want to think in terms of product categories that actually make sense to a human being. So I'm going to give you a real example from an e-commerce client that's selling shoes. So running shoes, that could be an asset group. Women's flats, that would be an asset group. High heels, that would be an asset group. Men's dress shoes, that would be an asset group. Do you see how specific these are? Google needs to understand what you're selling so it can match the right ads to the right search intent. I had another client that initially set up one asset group called shoes, and then they put every single thing into that asset group. And you can imagine it was a complete mess. It would be like walking into a restaurant and looking at a menu and it just says food. No, you want to know like what is lunch, breakfast, dinner, where are the sandwiches, where's the alcohol, of course. So it wasn't helpful. So we restructured it and their CTR improved by 40% in that first month. You also want to think in terms of your creative, where this is going to run. So this is by nature a prospecting campaign, and you need to really be thinking about your creative prospecting and then also that data matching. So this is something that's going to save you thousands and thousands of dollars. That is, match your creative to your asset groups. It sounds obvious, but you would be shocked how many campaigns that I audit where they're running shoe ads to people searching for high heels and they're just the generic shoe ads that show everything. You want to set up your asset group and actually show high heels and show exactly what you have in that asset group. Ideally, I want you to have a video creative for each breakdown. So if you're selling running shoes, then you actually want a running shoe video being shown to them in that asset group. If you do not have a video for each asset group breakdown, it is fine to do an overall brand one in every group, but I'm telling you what is ideal here. And what is ideal is to have a video, images, and then all the text matching that asset group. And then what you're going to be doing after that is you're going to exclude your brand terms. And so the reason that I tell you to exclude your brand terms is because I've said a couple times earlier in this video that Performance Max is a prospecting campaign. You're going after people that you don't know yet. You're going to let your search campaigns handle your branded traffic where you can control the message and essentially pay low CPCs. And I think that it's really interesting because originally when Performance Max came out, Google did not launch with this. And we always found that Performance Max was going out and getting that easy traffic first, which is people that were searching brand, they were ready to convert because that is where the campaign really, really does excel, is taking that cold traffic and nurturing it and then getting it to warm. But if it stays warm, it's going to go ahead and go after that warm. So it's a lazy campaign in a lot of ways. So the other thing you're going to need to think about, and again, this is how performance specs works, you're going to need to feed the beast. And by feeding the beast, think about it like this. You're not just a search marketer anymore. You're a data feeder. Performance Max thrives on signals. So if you're not uploading your customer list, your loyalty program members, and especially your offline conversion data, if you do lead gen or you have sales that are happening in a store, then you're really starving the machine of that data, and your Performance Max could essentially go off the rails. So for lead generation, if you don't feed it that offline data, who actually converted, who became a quality lead, you're flying blind. So make sure that you do feed this beast. The other part that you're going to need to think about deeply is your feed integration. Obviously, you need to connect your product group feed, your product feed to your asset groups. But here's the breakdown that, again, I'm seeing most people miss when I'm doing my audits. And that is that product groupings in your feed need to match your asset group strategy. So again, back to the running shoe example. If you have running shoes, make sure you have a product feed that has a clear product type and category that maps to this. Google needs these signals to understand what to promote when. So here's a pro tip. Use custom labels in your feed to mark your high margin products. This, therefore, is easier to go back on, and you can create an asset group around your profitability later on. So you can create high margin asset groups. So really leverage the labels in the platform for breakdowns that you want to use later on in your campaign build. Also, another huge thing, this is the last step here, would be the seasonal promotional strategy. Here's something I do for sales that works really, really incredibly well. I will create an asset group with multiple products in one shot. So we'll basically do a photo shoot. It would be running shoes, high heels, Uggs, or a holiday gift set, or think a couch with the pillows. And maybe if you sell vases or accessories or coffee tables, you're really getting those enviro shots of every single possible thing. And then the key is you use these to trim off and on during relevant seasons. So I have a home good client, and we'll create special asset groups just for Black Friday that showcase multiple products together. And we turn these on in November and December, and it's their holiday themed asset group. And it's starting to promote the holiday sales, especially on that cold traffic. These were excellent gift ideas and so on and so forth. So it's not necessarily a customer that right at this point in time is looking to buy a specific product and you're leveraging the product. It's somebody who's starting to do their holiday shopping. When we did this, it actually increased revenue by over 180% year over year when I started building out these asset groups for them. You're also going to want to think of budget control again by margins. So you could break down your profitability by centralizing your campaigns by margins. So here's a real life scenario. Imagine, again, we're going to go back to these high end couches. These couches are selling for $6,000 and $1,000 each, but you also sell these throw pillows for $100, $150. If these are in the same campaign, Google might spend all your budget on those pillow clicks because they're cheaper and easier to convert on while your couch inventory just sits there. So instead, again, I separate that high margin product, like the couches, in one campaign, and those accessories like pillows, cushions, covers in a different campaign. This way I can control budget allocations and set different targets. So this is going to be the most critical step for answering your question. Is Performance Max for everyone? No, it absolutely is not. It thrives when you can segment your products by margin, which works best in a retail or e-commerce environment. So my conclusion to all of this is remember that client I told you about at the very beginning that after restructuring their Performance Max campaigns, using these steps, their ROAS jumped from 1.2 to 3.8 within 2 months. Same budget, same products, just a better structure. So let's review the final answers to your questions for some key takeaways. How do I structure it? Structure your campaigns around profit margins and product categories. That makes sense. What are your thoughts? PMAX is a prospective campaign. Do not use it for brand defense. Let your search campaigns take care of that. Go ahead and exclude the brand. Do I need Performance Max? Again, you don't need it. PMAX does way better in a retail-like environment where you can segment by margin. But if you're doing it for lead gen, you absolutely must feed it your high-quality offline conversion data. You have to do that, and you have to make sure that that's correct. Now, if this helped you and you want to dive deeper into your specific situation, I'd love to help you personally. You can book a coaching call with me. The link is in the description. And then I work directly with business owners to audit and optimize their Google Ads account. And if you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button. I'm dropping new episodes as much as humanly possible right now as I'm building out this YouTube channel with real strategies that actually work and not just theory. And hey, drop a comment and tell me, what is your biggest PMAX challenge right now? What is your biggest Google Ads challenge right now? I read every single comment and I often turn them into future episodes. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Google Ad Strategy Hub podcast.